Upon finishing the Farewell Lady Alisa quest, where you deceive her about her husband's demise, Alisa will mention her intention to sell her home. You must persuade her to remain by selecting the dialogue choice, "You don't need to sell your house." Why can't you just stay here? You can encourage her to stay by suggesting she start her own business and offering to assist her with the necessary materials. This will initiate the subsequent quest, My Fair Lady.
Yes? What about him? Well, to be perfectly honest, I believe I do. I never anticipated that I would, but his absence does indeed bother me sometimes. You know, I always thought we lived rather separate lives, yet now I sense a certain emptiness around me at times. I find it quite unnerving, I must say. Indeed, that might be true. In Camelot, I was perpetually surrounded by company, be it Duncan, family, friends, and the servants, I suppose. Ah, perhaps you're right. Nonetheless, there is no use in dwelling on such thoughts at the moment. Gods, no. At least, I don't believe so. He was a respectable husband, certainly, but, well, love and marriage are two distinctly separate matters, and only one holds value for a woman in my position. Indeed, but let us not forget, I still bear the esteemed Moray name. My social standing hasn't ceased to exist just because I moved to the south. And what of it, anyway? I'm recently widowed. It would be quite unseemly to commence a search for a new husband so soon. Let me see. Not entirely dreadful. The fabric is almost decent, although the cut is terribly outdated. Whoever wore this must have been near destitute, or just stole it off someone else's corpse, I suppose. Regardless, it presents a fascinating challenge. Thank you for this. Here, a token for your troubles. Oh, you. That's terribly kind of you, truly, but I simply cannot accept it. You are, after all, most likely risking your life to get these for me. Or, well, if not your life, then at least your health and personal hygiene, I suppose. So, regardless of your feelings on the matter, I insist on compensating you adequately. But still, thank you. Very well, off you go then.
The next phase of the quest requires you to gather 3 items for Lady Alisa. You will need a ragged nobleman's doublet, a pair of frayed silk gloves, and 12 seashells. To obtain the first 2 items, return to the miner's tunnels. Look for a couple of crates close to the bench where Duncan was previously seated. You can find the clothing pieces inside one of those crates.
Distressing news, and I need to share them with someone. You see, I was going through the correspondence Duncan left behind, and imagine my shock when I discovered letters between him and my parents. It turns out my family was completely bankrupt when we married. Can you believe that? Though, I must admit, it has shed some light on a few aspects of my upbringing. Well, for one, have you ever encountered a noblewoman tasked with sewing her own garments? At the tender age of 12, my mother subtly steered me towards tailoring, positing it as a fitting pursuit for a lady of my station. I spent my time redesigning her old dresses, thinking it was just for fun. But now, I realize they probably couldn't afford new ones for me. Why on earth should you be sorry? It's my parents who ought to feel remorse. and Duncan for concealing the truth from me all these years. I spent my entire life believing my family was above such petty concerns as money, destined for something far more grand. And yet, there I was, sold to the highest bidder. But now I'm relieved you convinced me to stay in the South. It truly feels like a fresh start for me. Surprisingly, no. I thought I would miss the parties, the bustling social scene, my family, but I don't, not really. Camelot was always so stifling. I hardly had a moment to myself. I feared the quiet and isolation here might unnerve me, yet it's been quite the contrary. Moreover, I found our conversations, albeit brief, to be far more sincere than years of superficial chatter with my so-called friends. Oh, well, that's delightful to hear. I would be quite dismayed to think my company was boring you, or worse, that you possessed such lamentable taste as to think so. Oh, trust me, I find plenty of excitement here. The creative kind, of course. Since, well, truth be told, I hardly ever leave the house. It's starting to feel rather stifling, but I haven't yet mustered the courage to go outside and explore. Splendid! This piece is indeed intriguing. Although, I must confess, I was secretly hoping for something with a bit more flair. All my current designs feel tragically mundane, and I've nothing in the house I could use to adorn them. Well, given that we're in the South, it may sound somewhat trite, but I have developed quite a fondness for marine-inspired motifs. I could start with some seashells, perhaps. Not too many, perhaps 12 or so. I'm not certain yet. I'll need to give it more thought.
As for the seashells, they can be collected from drowners that appear near the beaches. Use fast travel to reach any of those areas and defeat drowners until you collect enough seashells. Once you've gathered all 12 shells, take them to Alisa. She'll be surprised that you followed her advice, and you can seize this moment to flirt a little. Tell her that you always pay attention, then ask if she'd like to go out with you at some point. This will initiate the Fit for a Lady quest.
Ah, the seashells. Thank you. You know, this might be the most humble gift I've ever received, but it could also be the most precious. Truthfully, I was somewhat skeptical of whether you were actually listening to my ramblings. And for that, I am deeply grateful. I've always had the impression that Duncan became rather weary of my endless babble. Though, upon reflection, I confess I found his conversations equally tiresome. I'm sorry to cut this visit short, but there is something I simply must attend to as soon as possible. But I'd really love it if you visited again soon. Oh, that sounds delightful. Just make sure it's somewhere picturesque, hmm? The South is supposed to be famous for its breathtaking landscapes. But so far, the only thing that's taken my breath away is the smell of fish. Oh, I know. When we came here with Duncan, I noticed a lovely little terrace overlooking the sea. We could go there, make it a proper outing. Maybe a picnic. That sounds charmingly provincial, doesn't it? Oh, I can't wait. Please, let me know when you're ready to set out.